2024 can be argued as the best year in professional wrestling in a very, very, very long time. I asked Wrestling Threads for their favorite everything from professional wrestling. I just asked for their favorite moments, matches, wrestlers, segments, heel turns, championship wins, shows. I asked just whatever your favorite wrestling thing was. I want to go over it. So, what I'm going to do here for this episode is go to the comments and read what everyone thought was their favorite thing in professional wrestling. It's a whole lot to get to. Let's get right into it. Starting with professional wrestling shows for 2024, I want to just get the obvious out the ways. With WWE, of course, is WrestleMania 40. Night 2, I think, was better. Crowd was better. But overall, you had, of course, the Cody Rhodes win and the ending of Night 2 of WrestleMania with all the legends, John Cena, Taker, Rock, all being out there involved in that main event. Roman Reigns' reign as champion finally ending. Cody Rhodes taking that title and becoming a WWE champion for the first time. Great ending. Michael Cole on the call. Fantastic. But other stuff within WrestleMania, you had, the tag team ladder match with R-Truth and Miz winning tag team titles. You had Bayley getting her Mania moment, beating Io in a great women's championship match. Sami Zayn beating Gunther. Sami Zayn has been on a hell of a WrestleMania run lately. The Damian Priest cash in after Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre with CM Punk involved, kicking off that feud. I think with the Damian Priest cash in and championship win into his documentary, I think that just made that whole thing really, really special. And of course, you had the night one main event with The Rock finally coming back and wrestling at WrestleMania in a tag team match with Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth. Great match, chaotic match. I loved it. I still go back and watch it. Just the intros and the entrances alone, great. So of course, WrestleMania has to be at the top of the list for wrestling shows for the year. And another one I want to give a shout out to with WWE is Backlash in France. The card, looking back on it, the card isn't like all time great. It's the crowd that makes this card all time great. From the main event with Cody versus AJ, just the introduction and the songs being sung and just the arena shaking. The camera work with the arena shaking was unbelievable. And then also the rise of Jey Uso was right there. It from France, Jey Uso coming out, it was undeniable from that point on that you got to put some singles gold on Jey Uso. Eventually, we do get to that later in the year, but that moment kind of stamped it for Jey right there. So let's get into some WWE specific things that were people's favorites on Wrestling Threads this year, 2024. I had a bunch of comments mentioning the Wyatt 6 debut. Unbelievable. Unbelievable debut. Ugh. The piano, the music, the entrance, the look. Seeing them all in the ring, especially with the Bray Wyatt documentary being released earlier in the year, I think in March. Seeing and finally seeing Bray Wyatt's vision come true with Bo Dallas leading the team. It was just unbelievable. The segment of them coming out, the teases leading into it with the QR codes and trying to figure out who's who and what's what and when it was going to happen. The single camera shot going into the backstage area with everyone laid out, including Chad Gable. Just absolutely perfect. You couldn't ask for a better debut of a group. I, yeah, the Wyatt Six is it's just unbelievable for 2024. Such a great moment for Raw. I think it had everyone shook. It had everyone emotional. It had everyone just super hype for what was to come from them in 2024. Another one we got from Threads is Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame introduction. It's probably one of the better WWE Hall of Fame speeches you'll ever hear. It was chaotic, it was humbling, it was entertaining as only Paul Heyman, arguably the best person to ever step into the ring and get on a mic, can be. Great. Being in Philly, great. The ECW chants talking about Brock and Roman and being a Paul Heyman guy and CM Punk being there. Great speech, great Hall of Fame speech. Probably my favorite Hall of Fame speech of all time. Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame speech. If you haven't seen it, you haven't heard it, definitely go back and listen. You can go back and listen now. It's perfect. And with Paul Heyman and post WrestleMania, and we had somebody commented, "You are not my tribal chief," talking about the segment with Bloodline 2.0 or Timu Bloodline, whatever you want to call them, and Solo wanting Heyman to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, and Paul, being defiant, being loyal to Roman, told Solo, "You are not my tribal chief," to one of the biggest pops of the whole year. Too bad he got triple powerbomb through a table for that. But he did make a return to an even bigger pop right before Survivor Series. "You are not my tribal chief" was mentioned here. Great moment. I talked about it at the beginning, but Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental title from Braun Breaker on Raw. Woo, we were waiting for this for a while. We were really waiting for this, especially once Jay left the bloodline and post WrestleMania with Jimmy. We were just waiting for a title run. Whether it was the World Heavyweight title, whether it was the IC title, we just wanted to see Jay hold that title for a minute. That win was huge. The place went nuts when he finally got the 3 count. It's a little sad that it didn't last that long because they eventually had to get him back into the Bloodline story about 5, 6 weeks later. But that moment still is there. Jey Uso winning the title was such a big moment, especially for his career, his first singles title win in a decade plus. Great moment for Raw. I had a few comments about Drew and Punk and just their whole thing throughout the year, leading into the Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match. I think all their segments, all their moments, the stuff with SmackDown when the gate rose and you saw Drew McIntyre carrying a bloody CM Punk, to CM Punk costing Drew McIntyre multiple world title wins. Probably WWE's feud of the year. Probably WWE's match of the year at Bad Blood. Great feud overall. Just a hater of Drew and just the pain in the ass of CM Punk. Them going back and forth. The SummerSlam match, the with special guest ref Seth Rollins, the strap match, the Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match. All their segments, all their moments. I prayed for this and it happened. Everything about Punk versus Drew was great in 2024. A very specific comment was, "If you know, you know, Monday Night Raw, Rhea's elevator entrance." That's all I'm going to say. Look it up for yourself. If you know it, you know it. That's it. Another one I thought was really good was this comment of the acceptance of Karrion Kross, the character, in WWE. I think in NXT he was pretty good up to a point. And on the main roster, he hasn't really found his footing until kind of this year, really. I think the feud with the Pride and Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits at Mania, into really the interview with CVV, and now his stuff with the Wyatts and the Miz and his social media stuff. I think he is gaining more and more fans every single week. I've always been a fan of Karrion Kross. I'm glad that more and more people are being accepting of him and seeing the character that he is and he's becoming a fan favorite, even though he's chaotic and dangerous. But the acceptance of Karrion Kross has been a good sign for 2024. I'm looking forward to see what 2025 brings for him and that whole group of Final Testament. And The Miz, which is strange, but for whatever reason, it works. Another comment was Liv stealing the whole Judgment Day from Rhea. That SummerSlam and leading up to SummerSlam when Rhea was out was great TV. You include the Dominic heel to more heel turn on Rhea, siding with Liv, Finn turning on Damian Priest, costing him the title against Gunther, and Liv basically taking the whole Judgment Day family from Damian and Rhea. Great TV. Overall, I think they've stretched the story out a little bit, but that lead up into SummerSlam was fantastic. with, we all knew Dom was going to turn, but it was still great to see. Rhea's return was great to see. The heel turns into the double heel turn for Dominic Mysterio. I don't know what you call it. It went from heel to next level heel for Dominic Mysterio. Great moments for the Judgment Day as a whole. They've really been kind of running Monday Night Raw for 2 years now. But Liv taking the whole Judgment Day was unexpected, but very cool. Of course, we had Cody finishing story. I think the early run of Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight title picture at the beginning of the year and the end of last year should be mentioned. He was carrying Raw on his back as champion. And then we did get a quick shout for current stuff and the KO Cody Rhodes stuff. Just got a shout out. I think it's great storyline work being done by the both of them. I'm looking for that's going to fully stretch into 2025, so that's going to continue that story. Comment that I was hoping to see was Solo and Bloodline 2.0. It started off as the fans not really liking it. I'm talking post Wrestle directly after WrestleMania 40. It was just Solo and Heyman and Jimmy. The turn on Jimmy, the introduction of Tamatanga and Tangaloa into Jacob Fatu. Yeah, turning on Jimmy, turning on Heyman, Jacob Fatu's introduction, them being hella entertaining. I don't care what anybody says. Bloodline 2.0 has been great. Solo has gotten so much better on the mic, in the ring, as a leader of a faction. So much better. From SmackDown after WrestleMania to now, great. When they introduced Bronson Reed for the War Games match, I loved it. Too bad Bronson Reed got hurt and Tangaloa is hurt, so it's really just the three of them right now. But just shout out to Bloodline 2.0 for holding down the Bloodline saga and story with Roman being out, Jimmy being out, Heyman being out, and Jay and Sammy doing their own thing on Raw. Solo held that whole story down, and he should get massive amounts of credit for it. Oh, this is a good call. Six Tsunamis. Bronson Reed. The emergence of Bronson Reed has been great to see. He came up on Monday Night Raw and just provided carnage every single week. Carnage to R-Truth, to Seth Rollins with the six Tsunamis taking out Seth, to Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman's feud, just ring collapse to breaking down a car, throwing each other through walls. Great feud to him joining Bloodline 2.0 for War Games. Bronson Reed had a great second half of 2024. Once he's back from injury, I'm sure he's going to pick back up and take off even further. The thing I want to just mention was Roman Reigns' return at SummerSlam. OG Bloodline coming back together. Paul Heyman introducing CM Punk into that Bloodline reunion for War Games. The War Games match overall. Some other stuff like New Day turning on Big E. Still heat. Big heat. Damage Control turning on Bailey. Candice turning on Maxine. Recent stuff with DIY turning heel on Motor City Machine Guns. And we have Motor City Machine Guns debuting on WWE, winning the tag team titles on SmackDown just a couple weeks later. Who would have thought? But then you had the DIY heel turn on them, and that feud's about to take off. Throw the Street Profits in that mix. And now it looks like SmackDown Tag Team Division is picking up some steam. I want to give a shout out to Nia Jax. Nia Jax, to me, in WWE, is Women's Wrestler of the Year. She had a great year, from main eventing Elimination Chamber to being Queen of the Ring to winning the Women's Championship at SummerSlam. I think Nia just had a great year in the women's division. Also, Braun Breaker in the Intercontinental title. He's held it down for the mid card on Raw since being called up. Him, Carmelo Hayes, has been great additions to Raw and SmackDown individually. Before I switch topics, I want to just give a shout out to WWE finally introducing mid card titles to the main roster. It worked in NXT with the North American Championship for the women's division, And now we have Chelsea Green being the first ever women's US champion, and we're in the middle of the tournament for the new and first women's intercontinental champion. I can't wait for 2025. It's just going to step up the women's division so much more. I've been waiting for this for years. Thank you, WWE, for finally giving me something I really, really want, and that's more women's wrestling, more women being featured high up on the card. Chelsea Green being U.S. champion, and we're getting a new Intercontinental champion for the women's division on the first episode of Raw on Netflix. Can't wait. But let me know in the comments, what did I miss? Did I miss a certain return you liked, a title one you enjoyed, a heel turn, a face turn, a moment, a match? Anything you want to talk about, put them in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what was your favorite. Everything. This is Everything is Wrestling. My name is Nick. To end 2024, I just want to give a thank you to everyone. I want to give a thank you to everyone who's watched, who's listened, who's shared, who liked, who comment. Everyone in the Wrestling Threads community, thank you. You've pushed me. This is why this podcast and this show is happening. All of very big things coming up in 2025. This is Everything is Wrestling. My name is Nick. 2024 Pro Wrestling. We're taking off.